Welcome back. You're watching CEOs Personally Liable. Has India Inc. woken up to the act? Presented by CNBC TV 18 and AVAGMAH. Miss Bali, I want to come to you now.
Just add something here.
Sure, ma'am.
Yeah, I think we've got to look at this like we look at any key initiative in an organization. So this cannot be a standalone from the business of the company. Each company therefore has to figure out how this gets embedded into how everyday behaviors take place, and it is monitored, it is evaluated, action upon it is taken like we would take action on any other metric of business performance. I think that is the level of importance, that is the level of criticality, and if there are companies that are demonstrating that we can do more and more of this with greater gender diversity, I think there's also people have to feel comfortable with the fact that this is actually a good thing. This is not something which is going to be detrimental to the interest of the organization. So I think we have to look at it positively, we have to look at it constructively, and we have to look at it seriously in terms of a significant initiative that becomes embedded in the culture and environment of the organization, and not as a standalone box that I tick off because I have to.
Now, I would like to add here to what Vinita said and what Gaurang had referred to earlier. Gaurang, I'm not a lawyer and I don't understand the law, but what I had read was that the employer in this case, the definition of employer is the head of the organization, the branch manager or the departmental head. It can also be a body like management committee or board of directors. So that's what I understand that I've read in the act, which possibly means that the employer definition is if in case you are the branch head, then you are personally liable, and if you are the CEO, you're personally liable. And at the first instance, if in case you are not abiding by the law in enforcing and creating an environment as has been defined by the law, then you're personally liable, and there is a fine. There's 50,000 rupees fine, and if in case there is repeated non-compliance, then I guess there is an issue where the person can go behind bars also.
I'll just point out the difference. What you're trying to point out is that if the act is not implemented, in the sense that if you don't have the internal complaints committee in place and you have not really followed the regulations which are provided in the act, in that scenario the employer is liable to the extent of 50,000, or his license can be cancelled, or something else can also take place.
Yeah.
But in terms of a complaint which is being lodged, in that case the employer doesn't have any responsibility or liability. In that case the employer is absolutely scot-free. Though the management is definitely is supposed to look into the affairs of the company, but as far as the sexual harassment complaint is concerned, the management is not really a part of it, and that is why this complaint committee would look into the entire aspect, and the management is not supposed to even intervene or interfere or in any way try to influence any of the members too.
Miss Bali, you've been in the corporate world for over 30 years now. You're widely traveled around the world. How does one differentiate between something which is sexually harassing comment, act, as opposed to something that could be said in jest to someone that I've been working with for 7 years and we're at a party and I've just said something?
So we're really talking about norms of behavior, and I don't think we can take this so seriously that all conversation between genders will stop because everybody is wondering when a sexual harassment case is going to be slapped against me. I think if you take the essence of this, the essence of this really is that we want to provide people in the workplace a sense of respect and dignity, and if we approach it not from a mindset of compliance and fear, but from a mindset of governance and a good work ethic and what is right for everybody, I think it'll be much easier to deal with it.
Okay, great. Neera, I want to talk to you about, it's an unfortunate bit in India is this social stigma, which is very unfortunate, where women are sometimes made to be are blamed that it's your fault that you had to suffer this, which is not true, which is very unfortunate. But how do we tackle that? How do we overcome that?
Yes, unfortunately this is true. There are two problems that a woman suffers from. One is her own inhibition, where she really feels that did I do something wrong? Was I provocative? Should I have acted or talked to him in a different manner and this would not have come about? And second is our collectivism. Every time India not only the India corporates, but everyone lays down the norms. This is how a woman has to dress. This is how she has to behave. But there's a very fine dividing line between individualism and between collective norms that a woman has to adhere to. And it has to be, it has to be taken into account that this is as in accordance with the person's own personal norms, where she lays the limit for herself, and that has to be respected. It cannot be that you did not dress according to the norms, you did not do that, therefore you saw it coming.
Karthik, coming to you for closing comments.
You know, what I would say is one of the key things that India Inc. should look at is the Act in itself, which is available today. And as Gaurang clarified, that the Act needs to be, the compliance to the Act needs to be implemented in organization as it stands today. And this is one of the first laws in the country which mandates that training is an absolute must, in addition to having an internal complaints committee as well as various other parameters that has been drawn out. And I have seen it's encouraging to see that smaller companies like Portia, like August Networks, like Palia, etc. are smaller companies who have gone in to implement this act. And part of that is go and train all your employees. And today training is not getting everybody into the room across the country. It can be done as low as 300 rupees per person per month, and per person, not per month, I'm saying per person, and it can be repeated whenever it wants to be. And I think India Inc. should start by doing this with no investment initially, and thereby creating a committee, forming different groups, and at the same time making the workplace more convenient for the women at workplace.
Okay, great. Well, that's just about all the time that we have today. Thank you so much, ladies. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for being a part of this discussion. Thank you so much for watching, and we hope we've been able to shed a lot more light on this important act, the implications and the provisions. Thank you so much for watching.
Focus, ideate, innovate, enable.